the Scottish Nationalists are going to go into, and I'm talking about the SNP here, they're going to go into the 2024 general election, and they're going to try to get a mandate. Now, a proper mandate would have to be over 50% of the entire electorate. Okay, so what we can do in order to gauge the likelihood of that is to look at the percentages that they've achieved in those 8 elections. What percentage of the overall Scottish electorate has the SNP managed to achieve in these 8 elections since 2007? And that will give us some idea the extent to which they can get a genuine mandate, which would have to be at least over 50% of the entire electorate. Now remember that most of the electorate often doesn't bother to vote, and at Scottish elections the turnout tends to be dismal. So a very interesting intellectual exercise, which can also give you good fodder for the conversation round the pub. So we decided to come up with that. It's going to appear, this chapter will appear in our next book, which we are going to be bringing out, God willing, if we get the funding for that before Christmas. So let's just briefly run through that. Now we can go back to the franchise for the Scottish elections and the UK elections are slightly different. More people can vote at Scottish elections than at the British general election, but we mentioned that in the article. But for now, at the Holyrood election in 2007, the SNP vote as a percentage of the entire Scottish electorate was 16.6. Okay, 17% of the entire Scottish electorate. That's what put Alex Salmond into power in 2007, and that was what gave them the kickstart from which we're all still suffering. 17% of the entire Scottish electorate. That was what put Alex Salmond in power in 2007. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2011, the next one. The SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the entire electorate was 22.5. Still very low, not even a quarter. Then the next Scottish election at Holyrood in 2016, the SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the entire electorate was 24.6. Let's call it 25% to be generous. So a quarter of the entire electorate. Still considerably away from 50% or more. And then the most recent Holyrood election in 2021, the SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the entire electorate was 27.9%. Slightly higher again, but still not even 30%, and still not even 1/3 of the entire electorate. So those were the 4 Holyrood elections that we've had since 2007. Since the Nationalists took power. Let's look at the Westminster elections. The first one was in 2010. The SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the total electorate was 12.7%. 12.7%. In 2015, at the general election, the SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the total electorate was considerably higher, 35.5%. Then the Westminster 2017 general election, the SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the total electorate was down to 24.5. Let's call it a quarter of the electorate. And then the last Westminster election in 2019, the SNP vote expressed as a percentage of the total electorate was 30.7%. Okay, 30.7%, which is still less than 1/3 of the total eligible electorate. So the SNP are way away from getting what would be considered, at the very least, a proper mandate, which would be at least 50% plus one of the entire electorate. We'll be bringing out those figures. We'll be showing you how we calculated them in our next article on our Substack, which you can find at ukaforceforgood.com. hoodies.substack.com.